The hospitals are affected. Families are disrupted. Let's play a part in stopping the carnage on the road network. Let us play a part in stopping the carnage on the road network. Road traffic injuries cost billions of dollars, billions, billions, billions. Everybody hurts in a traffic crash. Wear your seatbelts. Wear your seatbelts. Cut the speed, cut the speed, cut the speed. Look out for other road users. Look out for other road users. Look out for other road users. Traffic crashes can be avoided, they can be prevented. So let us, as we operate on the network, we look out for everyone. Let us make it our point of duty as of today to change our behavior and to influence persons who operate on the network. Let us be persons of change. Road safety is very, very important. Now, I'd like everyone to know that every motor vehicle that is manufactured, it's manufactured according to a clock. I know that many persons are not aware of it, but don't worry about it. The front of the vehicle is what is known as 12 o'clock. To the left is 11, and to the further left is 10, and the vehicle is broken down, and the back is basically 6 o'clock. Right, and to the right of the vehicle is where you have the 3 o'clock, and you'll see the clock go around. And so whenever crashes occur, this is how the vehicle is analyzed, and efforts are then made to ensure that where the damages occur, it's recorded accordingly. But just know that your vehicle, every motor vehicle, is a representative of the clock, right? And we just want you to be aware of that, because whenever there is a crash, the damage scale is utilized. And the scale is a highlight: A for slight, B for moderate, and C for severe. Now, whenever there is a collision, there are three things that happens, right? So you have what is known as the vehicle crash. You have another one that is known as the human crash. And you have what is known as the internal organs collisions. And all three collisions occur whenever there is a traffic crash. The severity of the crash will determine the outcomes. So if the crash is a low speed crash, persons would not receive major injuries. So inside a vehicle, as I said before, there are three things happening, three separate collisions. The vehicle will collide with something, right? So we call that the vehicle crash. The human body then will collide with the interior of the motor vehicle. And then the internal organs will collide with the human body. It's very, very critical that we all understand that, right? And as we operate the motor vehicle, we should be totally mindful of this event, right? We should not take it whatsoever for a joke, right? It's not a joke thing. It's very, very serious, right? To the extent where situations like these will play out, and we have to do our best to mitigate. gentle people, please wear your seatbelt. The seatbelt provides levels of protection, right? Prevent you from being thrown out of the motor vehicle. There are many persons who have been thrown out of motor vehicles. And in my view, many of these persons could have been alive today. Remember, the seatbelt gives you a fighting chance to survive the collision. So we should do everything possible to fully leverage that. So as I said earlier, the first collision is the vehicle collision. So the vehicle will collide with some object, right? Whether it's another vehicle, whether it's concrete bar, whether it's a tree, etc. So that collision is the first collision that will take place, right? Remember I said there's a sequence of collisions that will occur. And it's that sequence that we want to ensure that the speed is not very high. So as highlighted here, the vehicle will collide with a barrier, right? You want to, and remember now, whenever there's a crash, there's a lot of kinetic energy that is dissipated. The amount of energy dissipated in a traffic crash will aid in us being survived or dead, right? So it therefore means that we want to be able to slow down the speed at which the energy is transferred, especially to the passenger cage of the vehicle, right? So be mindful of that also, right? So it's important for us to ensure that as we operate our motor vehicle, we are using all the necessary safety gadgets that are available. So ensure that we buckle up, ensure that the backseat passenger is also buckled up. Do not take it for granted. Do not move off the vehicle if the backseat passenger is not buckled up, right? So please, we beg of you to do that. Ensure that as it relates to the seat belt and the airbag, you should stay at least 5 centimeters from the airbag. Remember, the airbag is like a missile, right? Like a missile, right? It can hurt you, right? It come out very violently. And in a crash, the airbag deploys between 60 to 100 milliseconds. So it's very quick, the airbag deploys. So it deploys in less than a second. You don't have a second, right? And we get this intelligence from the black box of the motor vehicle. As we did a presentation last week, we spoke about the black box in the motor vehicle. So once a motor vehicle is equipped with an airbag, it has a black box. And that black box is recording everything that is going on inside of the motor vehicle, right? So you see the vehicle crash into the barrier. A lot of energy is dissipated from the front to the back, right? And it's the energy that determines survivability. Now, I want to say this. Motor vehicles, if you notice, these vehicles that I've shown you earlier, they have a nose on it. So what does that mean? Is that the energy is slowing down before it reaches a passenger cage, right? So this part of the vehicle is taking off some of the energy, slow it down before it reaches here. Now, for vehicles without nose, right? In case of, and persons who operate these vehicles and persons who are operating other vehicles need to be cognizant of the fact that if there's a collision with these vehicles, because they don't have a nose, what tends to occur is that the front seat passenger, those who sit at the front, tend to have a lot of foot injuries, leg injuries, etc. And the reason for that is because the vehicle does not have a nose to provide levels of protection in case of a collision. Now, the second collision is a human collision. This is where the human body now, the occupants in the motor vehicles, are colliding with the interior of the motor vehicle. So what you find happening is that passengers and drivers will collide with the dashboard, with the steering wheel. They will collide with the A pillar or the B pillar or the C pillar or the D pillar of the motor vehicle. Now, if your head collide with the A, B, C, or D pillar of the vehicle, you as a passenger or a driver can be prone to what is called traumatic brain injuries. Remember, you can reduce the effect of traumatic brain injuries by wearing your seatbelt. Now, in a crash, what we have noticed, because a lot of passengers and drivers refuse to wear their seatbelts, their head end up hitting the A pillar, the B pillar, or the C pillars, and hence they receive traumatic brain injuries. Remember that we enter this world, you see, without spare parts. So whilst you can go to a shop and buy a leg and a tire or a brace and a wing, or you can go to a shop and buy a spare tire, a spare rims and so forth. Really and truly, there are no shops that sell spare brains, right? And spare heads. So we need to protect these vital organs in our body, right? And therefore, we appeal to persons to wear their seatbelt. Now, another type of collision we notice within the human collision is that human beings are colliding with each other. So we have seen some head-on collisions inside of the motor vehicle where passengers were not wearing their seatbelts and they collide head-on with other passengers in the motor vehicle. We have seen situations where passengers on the back seat, because they were not belted, they end up parachuting over into the front and basically break the necks of even drivers and passengers. And sometimes some of these passengers and drivers end up parachuting out of the motor vehicle. And that can be very, very perilous. So in the human collision, the driver and the occupants and the unsecured cargo continue forward at initial speed of the vehicle until they strike the interior of the vehicle or some other occupant or something outside the vehicle, right? So it's very important for you in a motor vehicle to be restrained, right? No human being have immunity from Newton's laws of motion. No one has immunity from a body of rest, will stay at rest. A body in motion will stay in motion unless unhindered by some external force. No one has immunity from the third law that says for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. No one has immunity. So what we need to do, use up the seatbelt, use up the protective devices. And remember that every safety device that you see in a motor vehicle, it came about because a lot of persons died, right? So we who are alive now should make the deliberate, calculated decision to use up this device to ensure that in case of a collision, we are giving ourselves a fighting chance to survive. Now, the final collision, and you see this collision? This one is not to be played with. This one is the most serious one. This one determines whether or not you survive the collision or not, right? So what is happening here is that the internal organs are colliding with each other. So for example, if you're traveling a vehicle and the vehicle is going 80 kilometers per hour and it's involving a collision, it means that your eyes, your nose, your ears, your lungs, your spleen, your liver, your kidney, your myelin sheath, your brain, your red blood cells, and your white blood cells are also traveling at that speed. Now, can you imagine the crash occur at 80? The liver colliding with rib cage at 80. The rib cage colliding back with the liver at 80. The lungs colliding with the heart at 80. And the heart colliding back with the lungs at 80. And vice versa. And all of these internal organs are clapping upon each other. That is calamity. And therefore, it's very, very important for us to monitor our speed, obey the speed limit, right? And also be mindful of the fact that it's the kinetic energy in a crash that determines the survivability. And another critical thing that determines survival is where the principal direction of the force comes in on that vehicle. So in angular crashes, what tends to occur is that the persons who are in that area tend to get the full brunt of it. Now, in these internal organ collisions, right, you find that the intestine tend to rip apart. And very crucial organs also rip apart, right? So remember now, as we said before, the internal organs of the body are traveling at the same initial speed as the occupant, and they will strike something inside the body. And this is what we're trying to reduce. Sometimes what happens is that the large and small intestines will jump out of the socket that they were made in, and they will jump out of the body. Right? So you find that the belly will open up and those things will bust out, right? Now, another thing that occurs is that you'll find that the head, and this is why motorcyclists must wear a helmet, because we need to protect the first head, right? Wear the helmet. Not to catch the helmet on the head, but ensure that it is strapped, right? Properly, right? Because at the end of the day, remember, we only have one life, and we need to protect the one life that we have. We don't come here with with spare parts. Remember, we don't, so we must do everything to protect ourselves, and also to drive for our family, walk for our family, ride for our family, and look out for each other out there, right? Now, the collision slows or stops the internal organ. And this, as I said before, the collisions occur very quickly. Within 120 milliseconds, the collision is over, right? No crash lasts for more than a second, right? And then what you'll find out is that a lot of the fire brigade personnel will be trying to save a lot of lives, right? And they are specially trained to do that work. Now, they are also specially trained also to ensure that the road surfaces are clean from the debris as a result of traffic crashes. And these are some of the vital organs that are affected whenever a traffic collision occurs. And the liver is a very, very important organ in our body. Our lungs are also very, very important. And we need to ensure that we do everything to want to live. Life is precious, right? So let us drive and walk and ride for our family. So I have another video that highlights the 3 collisions, and everybody pay attention and have a critical look at it. Very important. We have no control over anything that's not properly secured. It will move. So this is what we just spoke about earlier, the 3 collisions. So let us try to keep ourselves safe on the network. Let us drive for our family. Let's drive for our community. Now, every motor vehicle that is manufactured, it has pillars. So here is the A pillar, right? Please, these are terminology that govern motor vehicles, and these pillars are very, very important, right? And we need to respect them, because oftentimes these are the areas that occupants, the driver and passengers, and sometimes even pedestrians, their head hit these areas, and it proved to be very, very perilous. So you'll find it for motor cars, you'll find the A pillar right here. Then the B pillar is right here. Then the C pillar is here. And then for SUVs, you'll find the D pillar here. These areas are rigid structures on the motor vehicle. So please be mindful of these areas. Wear your seatbelt. What tend to occur is that because persons are not belted, their head end up hitting A pillar, B pillar, C pillar, D pillar, and that creates serious head injuries, right? Now, for every motor vehicle that is manufactured, here's what we call it chassis number. Some person call it VIN number. Now, different characters represent different things. The first letter represents where the vehicle was built. The second and third characters highlight the manufacturer. The 4 to the 8 character deals with the portrait of the vehicle, that's brand, engine size, and type. The 9th character represents the security code that identifies the VIN as being authorized by the manufacturer. And the 10th character. So what I want everybody to do, right? When you get a chance, look at the 10th letter, 10th character in your VIN or your chassis number. You see that 10th character in that 17 number VIN? It represents the model year of the car, or the vehicle, right? So if you want to know the model year of the vehicle, this is how it is. This is how we know what year vehicle it is, right? And each of them represent it. So this is a code sheet that represents the model. So if you're operating a 2013 motor vehicle, when you look at the 10th digit in your 17-digit VIN, you will see D, and that will mean 2013. If it is a 2020 vehicle, you will see the letter L. If it's 2019, you will see K. So this is how you know, right? Don't feel no way if you never know before. Knowledge is what we are sharing today, right? Now, there are two types of safety features in motor vehicles. There's what is known as the active safety feature and what is known as the passive safety feature. Now, the passive safety features are safety features that help the occupant of the vehicle to stay alive and unharmed in the event of a crash. So some of these are like seat belts, front driver and passenger airbags, side airbags, head restraint, fuel pump shutoff devices, and side impact bars. Now, it's very important for us, and again, I cannot stop saying it, we need to wear our seatbelts. If you look here, you'll see some of the type of injuries that persons who don't wear seatbelt are prone to. They are prone to both face and head injuries. They are prone to cervical and spine injuries. They're also prone to steering wheel impact injuries, pelvic fracture, and also brace leg fracture. Some of the injuries. And be mindful of the fact that you can get additional injuries by passengers who are not belted. So again, I would like to beg everyone on the sound of my voice to ensure that everyone in your motor vehicle belt up. Some of the active safety features are the ABS system, which was basically placed in motor vehicles to ensure that the wheels don't lock up. So you have enough energy both to steer and to brake. Previously, when the wheels are locked up, there was no energy to steer. And hence persons have very little control. Some other type of active safety features are turn signals, high performance tires, dynamic steering response, traction control, powerful windscreen, all-wheel drive, directional headlights, reverse backup sensors. So all of these active safety features were designed in the motor vehicle to assist the driver, provide more information to them so they can make better choices as they operate the vehicle in the traffic environment. Another piece of technology available is what is known as autonomous emergency braking, where the braking is done via sensors, where the vehicles are communicating with different vehicles. So if the driver refuses to apply his brake, the vehicle will do it for you, right? There are lane departure warning systems that are there. So if persons are jumping out and crossing lanes, the vehicle will provide the information, and autonomous cruise control. We have seen a lot of these devices in motor vehicles that have been involved in crashes. So you find the more modern vehicles have these devices inside of them, and they will work sometimes depending on the situation. A critical thing that persons who are procuring motor vehicles need to do, need to know, is that under one of the pillars of the United Nations Decade of Action for Road Safety, it speaks to safer vehicles. Whenever you are procuring a motor vehicle, you should find out if this vehicle is crash worthy. How do you do that? What should you look for? You should look for roof strength. Is the roof strong enough for this vehicle? Is it built to absorb energy so that if there is a collision and this vehicle roll over, the roof won't press in and press in the occupants, right? But the roof will be resistant. It has necessary energy to prevent caving in. Does this vehicle have comfort zones at the back and at the front to also ensure that the energy dissipating in the collision is reduced dramatically and is not rushing into the passenger cage to break up the internal organs of occupants? Does this vehicle have seat belts, right? And we should ensure that seat belts are equipped for every occupant in the motor vehicle. Ensure that the seat belts are working, right? It is advised that if you are involved in a collision and the seat belt work, please try and get the whole pre-tensioning system replaced, right? Because it would have come under a lot of force, a lot of energy would have been utilized. So we need to replace that pre-tensioning system. So take it to the dealer, take it to the auto repair shop who will install a brand new seatbelt in system. We have does this vehicle have side impact barriers? Remember now, the crumple zone of the vehicle is geared towards providing protection if the front of the vehicle is hit or if the back of the vehicle is hit, which is good. But we have collision from the side. So does this motor vehicle have side impact barriers, right? So these are some of the safety things that we should be checking out for. Ensure that the vehicle you are procuring have side impact barriers. So if there is a side-on collision, there is protection, right? Another thing you should look out for is airbags. Airbags provide fighting chance for surviving the crashes. It should be aimed at your chest and not at your head. We should ensure that we have head restraint on the vehicle. We should not remove them. We know a lot of persons have a habit of removing them. Do not remove the head restraint. They serve very good purposes. They help in terms of if there's a collision, they aid in reducing the effects of whiplash and also protecting the spinal cord. Remember, I tell you earlier that we don't come here with spare parts, right? The seats, ensure that our seats are comfortable and we have the correct seat that we are sitting in. This is what we should be looking for whenever we are procuring a motor vehicle. We should ensure that the vehicle is safe. We should ensure that we have crumple zones, energy absorbing material at both the front and at the back. And we have this side impact barriers to protect us. We should ensure we have the seat belt, the airbags, proper seat. And also remember that the vehicles are equipped with once you have an airbag, you have an airbag control module, right? And please get yourself acquainted with the safety components of the vehicle. Not only you need to ensure that you as a driver operate the vehicle safely, but you need to ensure that the vehicle you're operating have the adequate safety features that will give you a fighting chance to survive the collision. And these are some of the things that you should look out for. Ensure you have roof strength. Please ensure you have roof strength, right? Do not take it for granted. Ensure that everyone in the vehicle is buckled up at all times. Now you have another thing that you should look out for. And these are coming the more modern vehicles now. Headlamps. Ensure you have headlamps. There is lane departure system. There is autonomous emergency braking. More vehicles are now built with electronic stability control and anti-lock braking system. And electronic stability control came about because a lot of motorists were negotiating corners at very high speeds and they were losing control. What was happening? The rear tire of the vehicle was tracking outside of the front tire of the vehicle. Basically, the rear should track inside of the front of the vehicle and you have a safe passage. Once the rear is tracking outside the front of the vehicle, you'll have what we call in Jamaica wash. The vehicle start to wash, right? The back start to drive. And hence, vehicle manufacturers added this piece of technology, electronic stability control, which is geared towards reducing the effect of vehicles losing control whilst making that turning maneuver. Anti-lock braking system, we spoke about that earlier, which is geared to allow that you have the energy to both steer and to brake and to prevent lockup. Now, a critical piece of technology is going on now. It's continuous work. Front crash prevention, where vehicles are communicating with each other, right? That's a technology that's still working on. There's also front crash prevention, whereby it has to do with vehicle to pedestrian protection. So there are sensors at the front of the vehicle that will pick up a pedestrian and automatically it send a signal to the motor vehicle, and the motor vehicle, it will try to slow down the motor vehicle and even stop it in some instance. Technology is still being worked on. Another thing that we should also look for are there latches on the seat of the vehicle for children, so that the car seat can be properly placed there, right? Again, these are added technology that is coming out more in more modern vehicles. And this is something that is getting more and more popular out there. These are things that you should look for. And a lot of vehicles are rated accordingly to these things. Now, as I said earlier, the head restraint is there to provide us with protection. It should be adjusted, right? Ensure that it is in line with your head. It should not be below nor above, right? So ensure it's right there. and please do not remove it, right? Whiplash is not nice, right? The headrest significantly reduce head and neck injuries. We have to protect that spinal cord, right? Again, do not remove the headrest. So please, everyone, just ensure that you do not remove the headrest, right? If ever you have traveled in a motor vehicle and the headrest has been removed, I hope that you recognize the importance of it now, right? And encourage your friends, your family members, and everyone to use it. Another critical piece of device that exists in the motor vehicle is the airbag. It's the only safety device that I've seen that come with a warning notice, right? And one of the reasons for that is because of the violent speed at which the airbag is deployed. So you're looking at something that deployed between 90 to 120 meters. And therefore, we should treat it with seriousness, right? There is a big thing going on globally right now, and I'm going to address it. I want everybody on the sound of my voice to take heed at what I am going to say, right? Take very critical heed. There's a global recall going on the Takata airbag, especially the deadly Takata airbag, right? What has happened? There are some defective Takata airbag inflators that have really caused serious issues. And therefore, what has happened is that the fragments from the airbag is deploying in the collision along with the airbags. So instead of only the bag deploying, we are seeing other things being deployed, right? We're seeing many other things being deployed. And these things cause serious injuries to persons. So it causes ruptures to the motor vehicle. There are cases where it causes even fire to the motor vehicle, right? So we have to be very careful in this area as we seek to ensure that we keep ourselves safe out there.
How do you hear me with this?
Let me give you some headphones.
Okay.
Another thing that we must remember too with airbags is that it has this deadly Takata airbag inflator has killed many persons. Many persons have died as a result of that.
What? Oh my goodness.
Could someone mute their? Could everyone mute their mic? What? Mute their mic, please.
A yellow there would fit. Oh, are you talking about this or the bulbs and the ceiling?
Right. Another critical thing that we have to look at is the whole matter of our positioning. Our positioning of our hands on the motor vehicle.
The ceilings or the lamps?
So previously, the hand positioning.
No,
We were taught to hold the clock at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock.
Okay.
10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. Right? And therefore, because of the fact that at that time, there were no airbags in the motor vehicle. However, with the advent of airbags, the recommendation is that we lower our hands to 9 and 3 o'clock, or even 7 and 5, right? But the fact of the matter is that because of the airbag, remember now, the airbag can, if it's deployed, it can damage the hand.
Yeah, I would say,
right? And that can cause serious issues. Right? We should never grip the wheel from behind through the center. Right? So this matter we should not do at all. Right? We should never do. Right? So this thing of having our hands through the steering, that's not good at all. Not good. Not good. Right? So we need, as individuals, to ensure that we protect our hands.
And it's nice.
Again,
Can you tell Sheldon to turn off his mic? Tell Sheldon to turn off his mic.
Sheldon,
And I also like.
Could you turn off your mic, please?
Because I'm really, because
right.
of
Now, another critical thing that we would want to do is to ensure that the only thing that touches the road surface is treated with respect.
Remember the one that you were looking at?
Right?
Something similar to that may not be that.
We need to
I was looking at it, I was saying
ensure that our tire is not over-inflated or under-inflated.
The accent here.
Mr. Here.
You can get Sheldon to turn off that mic for me, please. 1 second, please. I'll get this mic turned off.
I can mute. Several people have their mics unmuted and we can't hear you properly. They need to mute their mics.
Could persons who have their
What
mic
you could do is mute it from your end. Mute all mics from your end.
Mute all.
Oh, sorry for being on.
We need everybody's mic to be muted. We are getting a and when you are not very technologically, hopefully everyone's mic is off now. Right.
Good.
All right. So could everyone just ensure that the mics are muted, because it provides not a very good feedback. Now, as it relates to tires, remember now, tires are the only thing on the vehicle that touches the road surface. I would like everyone to pay critical attention here, because some very serious intelligences are going to be revealed. And I'm almost certain that once this section is completed, everyone will be rushing to look at their tires, right? Please to ensure that you have a normal tire where all the face of the tires are touching the ground. For over tire, you don't want the middle of the tire to be off the ground. You don't want the side of the tires to be off the ground. You want the entire tire to be on the ground. This is Murphy's Law again. I'm just having a problem getting this thing to move now. All right, let me try this. Hopefully this works. Good. These guys just take themselves and go and leave me. Gotcha. So let us see what happened. Something took place a while ago. Let me go back. Get this back to play. Okay, sorry about that.
Reducing driving speed when highways are wet is the single most important factor in avoiding hydroplaning. Always keep the two tires with the deepest tread on the rear axle. This applies to front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, and all-wheel drive vehicles. Always make sure your tires have at least 2/32 of an inch of tread depth and are in good condition. Always keep your tires properly inflated in accordance with the vehicle manufacturer's recommendation. Refer to your vehicle owner's manual or applicable tire manufacturer's limited warranty booklet for other essential safety and maintenance information. Other important factors. Proper inflation pressure is also a very important factor in avoiding hydroplaning. Loss of traction and hydroplaning can occur well below legal speed limits. Be aware of wet spots on highway, especially standing water.
I hope that everyone was able to get some intelligence from that and think about it. Now, as said before, this is the only part of the vehicle that touches the road surface. We need to pay attention to our tires before it is too late. Now, a critical thing we must remember is that tire come with a birthday. Just as how everyone here have a birthday, This is how everyone here has a birthday. Everything that is made also have a birthday. So in this case, the tires have a birthday, 0511. So if you look at your tire, you'll see a rectangle that has only four numbers, right? So if you look at the tire, 4 numbers. So this tire in 2020, I bought this tire last week and it was 0511. What does this mean? It means this. It means that I just bought a tire that was manufactured in the 5th week of the year 2011. Let me go again. I bought a pair of tires last week, and when I look at it, it's a 0511. I am not aware of what it means, so I'm coming here to find out what it means. When I look at it, I then realize that I bought a tire that was manufactured in February of the year 2011, and based on the intelligence that I know, after 4 years, the tire expires. So that tire expired from as far back as 2015. Now it's 2020. I bought tires in 2020. I would like to say to everyone, before you buy any tire, know this, right? So what do I do when I'm buying tires? I ensure that I'm satisfied with the year that I'm buying the tires. So you can always check these things, check it out, and this is how you know, right? So expired tires, we really don't want to buy them, right? You want to avoid. If you look at this tire, it is saying 0707. It means that this tire was manufactured in the 7th week of the year 2007. The first 2 numbers speak to the week the tire was manufactured. The last 2 numbers speak to the year the tire was manufactured. I'd like to implore everyone to take a note of that, and as soon as the presentation is ended, go and look at the year of the tire. Learn to read your tires. Another critical thing that is on the tire is the maximum amount of air pressure that is allowed in the tire. So in this tire, it said 44 PSIs, right? And I'm speaking about tires, and I don't want anyone to feel that this is, you only need to be a male to know about tire. Both male and females must know about tires, right? So it have a maximum amount of air pressure. However, in choosing the amount of air pressure for a motor vehicle, what we should be doing, what we should be doing is that looking at our motor vehicle. Now, on your door panel, right on your door, if you should open your door, you'll see a panel looking like this. It will tell you what size tire you should put on your motor vehicle. It will tell you also how much air you should put in your motor vehicle. So in this vehicle, it is saying 32 PSIs, right? 32 PSIs for all tires, right? So if it is in this one, and it also tells the type of tire to procure. If you're only carrying 2 persons and a small amount of load in your car, you can buy these tires, 175 70 R14 or 185 65 R15. If you're carrying more than 2 persons and more cargo, it's advisable to buy 195 55 R16 or 205 45 R17. And your spare also could fall in this line also, right? So those are critical things that we would want you to look out for. Now, very important that you respect the tire pressure that the manufacturer assigned for that vehicle, right? Do not underinflate or overinflate, right? Just work with the amount of air, right? Try to ensure that at all times you have air. Avoid loading up your vehicle, right? Avoid loading up your vehicle. It put pressure on the tire. Are you aware that every tire manufacturer have what is known as a load index? This is what the sheet look like. If you look on your tire again, you should see a number and a letter, a number followed by a letter. So some person will see 88H, right? In this case, it's 109T. So that means each tire is manufactured to carry weight of 1,030 kilograms, right? Multiply that by 4 and you will know how much all tires are manufactured to carry on the vehicle. So every tire is built with a load index, right? So you'll see the number. The number speaks to the load, the weight that that tire is manufactured to carry. Now there's another thing that it is manufactured to carry, right? Speed. 109T, right? T, each letter have a speed rating. So T is 190 kilometers per hour that tire was manufactured to carry. But remember now, the road surface are not manufactured. Road surfaces are not manufactured in Jamaica specifically for vehicles at 190 kilometers per hour. It therefore means that if you should operate a vehicle and go at 190 kilometers per hour and say an 80 kilometer or a 50 kilometer road surface, you could find yourself in serious problems, right? Where the vehicle could eventually lose control, right? Because enough friction and traction is not on the road surface to keep you on that surface, right? We spoke about this earlier. Ensure this is a panel that's at your door, right at your door. As you open your door, there's a panel. It's at the driver's side, right? So look at it and you'll know what type of tire you should procure. Also, it will tell you the amount of air that you should keep in your tire, right? So you can know, right? Know the size tire that is to go on your vehicle. Again, you will know from the panel that is placed right at the driver's side. It's right there. It's right there. People, look. Do not take it for granted. Now, there's another thing that we need to pay attention to, and that has to do with the amount of temperature. For tropical country, you want to buy tire that has temperature A, right? You'll find some persons with temperature B, but you don't want to buy tires with temperature C. You want to avoid those tires. So you'll find in tropical countries like Jamaica, persons tend to use A or B, but for the most part, we advise persons to work with temperature A. The traction of the tire, again here, we always advise persons to stick with A, double A or A, right? Because we always want traction. Traction is the tire's ability to stop on wet surface, and we always want the best right here. We always want the best. Tread wear again, you'll find different tread wears. One, in this case, we have a 180, but you'll find tread wears with 400, 200. All this deals with how long will the tire will last. Of course, this will cost a bit more funds, right? Things that we need to know about tires, we need to know about the date of the tire was manufactured. We need to be mindful of the tire pressure that must go there. We need to remember that we want double A traction. We want the best tread wear, but remember that you're gonna have to pay for that. Remember that tires have maximum load rating and speed ratings, and also temperature resistance, and also tire sizes. These are things that everyone who operates a motor vehicle should know and should be aware of when operating the vehicle. If you don't know, well, you can say you know now, right? You can have a tire pressure gauge that both tests the amount of pressure in the tire, and also you can have one that also check how much tread depth is in the tire. Remember that the tread depth in the tire is only there to disperse water. Once the tread depth reach 1.66 millimeters, we should change that tire. And normally, for the most part now, tire manufacturers have basically placed that into the tires that they are manufacturing. So do not allow your tire tread depth to go below 1.6 millimeter. Ensure that for your passenger car, you are using passenger tires. Ensure that for your trucks, you are using commercial tires. Check the age of your tires. If your tires have cuts, bulges, blemishes, or holes, remove them, right? If you decided you're going to procure a used tire, ensure that it is marked used and has a minimum tread depth of 6 millimeters. As I said before, do not, this tread depth is to disperse water. If you are going to buy tires, do not buy tires that are stored in the sun. Sunlight deteriorate tires. And these are just some of the things that you can do to keep your tire healthy and cause your tire to live a little longer. Speeding is one of the major reasons why we have road death. So it's number 2. Right now, it's the number 2 reason in Jamaica why a person die in traffic crashes. Speeding is driving too fast for road conditions and or the environment, right? So what we have the legal speed limit that is set by the authorities and by law. So those are entrenched in law. You have what is known as design speed. These are speeds that were designed by the engineer for a road. Every road has a design speed, right? And for the most part, the design speed is normally higher than the posted speed. So hence the reason why you'll find persons feel comfortable driving at 80 kilometers on a 50 kilometer posted speed limit road. And remember that kinetic energy is the energy which our body possesses by virtue of it being in motion. What does speed do? Speed kills. We have heard that over and over. We have heard slow down. We have heard all of these messages. But for the most part, human beings believe that they are invincible. And they believe that they can violate Newton's laws of motion and physical laws. And I would like to tell everyone, you can't violate the laws of kinetic energy, the laws of motion, the laws of speed, the laws of momentum, the laws of gravity. They all work. And it's because of the violation many times that we have negative outcomes for occupants of motor vehicles. In order to avoid a collision, it requires time to perceive and react, and time or distance over which to change direction and or speed of the vehicle. All of these things done in time. Faster you're going, the more time it's gonna take you to stop that motor vehicle, and the more distance you're gonna have to cover, and there hence the time to perceive, react, and avoid the collision. And trucks and cars are made differently. The car will stop quicker than the truck. The truck acceleration, deceleration factor is much more lower than the car. For the most part, we have found that for cars, it's the drag factor is about 0.7. For trucks, it's operating between 0.45 to about 0.55. So the trucks will definitely take a longer time to stop. We have all different excuses why we speed, none of which are justified. Remember now that the place that we are going, it is not moving, right? Remember, we have our family members to live for. We have our children, we have our husband, we have our wives, we have our girlfriends to live for. We have our mother, our father, and our loved ones to live for. We have our workplace to live for. We also have our countries to live for, right? So we should take it extremely serious, right? A critical thing why we should not speed is because the faster we speed, the greater the crush. My last statement will be a bit controversial. There will be many persons who will have different views, but I would like to say speed limit has nothing to do with safety. It's all about convenience or comfort. And the reason why I say that is because that there are areas across the globe where speed limits are set so high, and we know for a fact that if a pedestrian is hit at that speed, the pedestrian just won't survive. Why we should not speed is because vehicles twist, bend, and crush during the collision. And it's that twisting, bending, and crushing that occur in the collisions also occur with human beings. In areas where we have a lot of pedestrians, we shouldn't allow motor vehicles to be traveling over 30 kilometers per hour, because we are fully aware that between 20 to 30 kilometers per hour, whilst it may be a bit slight, the pedestrian can be killed. The life is very important.
Focus is obliterated on impact. Only the rear end escapes total destruction. And the passengers Don't ask. God, the hairs on the back of my neck are sharp as nails. The car decelerates from 120 miles an hour to 0 in 68 milliseconds, with its occupants experiencing peaks of 400 G. The front end hits the wall with such force that the back end rises up 90 degrees and the car is slam dunked down onto its nose. Crash test expert Tony Payne talked me through the scale of this wreckage. Absolutely mauled. Yes, you've got the vehicle crushed nearly all the way back to the Vehicular. You can see here, for an occupant in there, absolutely no survival space at all. There's the rear seat, and there's the steering wheel there, and literally it's been compressed between the front and rear seat down to that distance. Goodness me. It's almost turned into a piece of modern art. And if we go right round into the car itself, front seat's right there, that's the instrumentation panel, and the person's literally in that area there. I mean, I know it's all not real, but it's still mighty haunting. It is an extreme scenario, but modern family hatchbacks can reach the speeds we saw today. Maybe it'll make you think twice the next time you want to put your foot down.
Here ended my presentation on vehicle safety. I would like to thank everyone for your patience with me. And I do hope that we have learned something. I now open the floor. If there are any questions, I have approximately 22 minutes. I can entertain questions. I will try my very best to answer. If I can't answer, I will try to find the answer. Are there any questions?
Canute.
Yes, go ahead.
Afternoon, Castro.
Yes.
Tell me something. How would I know the design of the road in terms of speed? Because the surface is totally different. How would I know what speed a road is designed for?
That would have been the scope of the National Works Agency. So they would know because they would design the road accordingly. So for that question, you'll have to get that information from them. I'm reading a question here. With the learner journal manual be updated, including information provided. I will ensure as much as possible it is there because these information that I've shared are very, very important information.
Good evening.
Can you just identify yourself, please?
I'm Tony Dixon from Accra, Ghana.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome.
I would like to know, thank you. For instance, in my country, Ghana, most of the vehicles we use in Ghana, or the less expensive cars we have in Ghana, they are crash cars or accident cars being imported into the country, and then such vehicles are then sent to the mechanics for them to refurbish or for the mechanics to work on such vehicles before we use in our country. So in such, how are we going to check when it comes to the roof of the vehicle and then all the protection gadgets in the vehicle? How are we going to check those things? Because the vehicle is not directly from the factory. It got involved in a crash, being imported into the country for a mechanic to work on it before we go in to buy it. So how are we going to check those things? Is there a way out?
You're going to have a serious issue in checking that. What I will say though is that, and this is a major challenge that developing countries have. Approximately close to 90% of the fatal crashes occur in developing countries. And they account for about 40 to 50% of the fleet of the motor vehicles. It therefore means that what has to be done, in my view, is that developing countries have to have motor vehicle standards, and they have to have put in rigid standards to ensure that the safety features are addressed. And I agree with you that a lot of the vehicular safety issues there are a lot of compromising have taken place, especially in developing countries, because for the most part, you don't have standards. But I think that what I would advise us to do is to get the motor vehicle authority to begin to play a role in terms of, and maybe also the commerce departments to play a role in terms of ensuring that the quality of the motor vehicles that come into our countries are safe. I think it's, some years ago, I attended a conference in Brazil, and the International Road Federation did a paper. Why is European and North American life more important than a Latin American and Caribbean life? It has to do with the quality of the motor vehicles that were traversing the road network for both in the Caribbean and Latin American regions. And I think that we have to push and demand these things. We are fully aware that that the issue that I highlight about the safety ratings of motor vehicles, I'm fully aware that many vehicles would have failed them. But I'm also aware that many more modern vehicles now are adhering to that. And it therefore means that when the collisions occur, you could have situations whereby if the vehicle had the requisite safety features, for example, crumple zones to dissipate the energy, right? To break the energy and reduce energy from reaching the passenger cage, we could save a lot of lives just by that alone. We could save a lot of lives by just having the seatbelt, the airbag, and the side impact barriers in these motor vehicles. So the technology is moving rapidly. It's not very costly anymore because it's becoming the norm. So I think that where you are in Ghana, I think that you should take up the mantle of start to push for road safety and also for vehicular safety in your country.
Thank you.
Hey, can you?
Go ahead.
Hey, yeah.
Can you identify yourself, please? Can you identify yourself?
Yes. My name is Odine Anthony, and I have a crash data reporting and analytics company called Orb. So in regards to the previous gentleman who asked the question, I think he was asking a question like, how would he know with the cars coming in to their country, having been in an accident, and just go to the mechanic and get prettied up? How would he know? And I think the black box can also tell you that, because it can tell you if the vehicle has been in previous accidents, couldn't it?
Yes, the black box can help you with that. So Tony, basically what Odin is saying is that you can analyze the black box of that motor vehicle. It records how many times the vehicle has been involved in a collision. And I must say that many persons are buying motor vehicles and don't know how many times the vehicle has been crashed. I am seeing some questions here. Since last June, when you made a call for motorists to buy safe, the number of safer vehicles being bought, gone off. I am not sure about that, Christopher. I haven't checked on that matter, but I will have to do some check on that. Does Jamaica have any program in place to prevent the sale of expired tires? I don't know of any, right? I don't know of any, but what I would say though is that from my perspective, what I want is for persons to be aware that when you're buying tires, you need to know what you're buying. And every tire have a birthday on it, have a manufacture date, and for persons to be aware of what these dates are. And the more the information is out there to give consumer better choices to make out there. Clarify what you said about speed limit having to do. All right, what I meant by that is this, right? You can put a speed limit on a road. For example, you have a road that is 80 kilometers per hour, but you may have a school there. It may be an area that is highly pedestrianized, right? So one would then question, why would you do that, right? There are persons oftentimes that want the speed limit to be at a certain speed when the geometrics of the road doesn't facilitate it. And if you were supposed to have that speed, it will cause problem. There are some countries where persons have demonstrated for high speeds, persons that even have elections on that matter. So what we want persons to be aware of is that your ability to survive a crash will be dependent on the amount of kinetic energy that comes into that vehicle. So in a crash, you want to slow down that amount of energy that comes, because the energy breaks body, it twists body, and it bends the body. Older vehicles are now being imported in 20, yes. So there are, and that is why persons need to know, right? Person need to be know, person need to be provided with information, and to know, to have better choices out, and to know what to expect, what to demand when you are procuring vehicles, and what, so that you're operating a safe vehicle, a vehicle that gives you all, you see, all those safety features I have highlighted. Those are critical things. I would say more safe vehicles are being brought in Jamaica. I would agree with that. Because a lot of the vehicles now are coming with a lot of added safety features that enhance, because you can get vehicles with ABS, anti-lock braking system. I think one of the things that we need to look at is to find out the crumple zones of these vehicles. But more safer vehicles are coming to Jamaica. Any other question?
Yes, Tony again from Accra, Ghana. For instance, let's take my country, Ghana, for an example. We don't, our investigators, for example, the mechanics, for example, do not even know what a black box is. So doing crash investigation, what we normally do, or what we normally does in Ghana, is we go out there, look at the impact, assess the impact, and then listen to eyewitnesses. So when it comes to the issue of black box, of data recovery box, it is very difficult for us to get such things from to get the actual cause of a crash in my country, Ghana, because the technology is not there for investigators for them to do their job rightly. And then also, I also like to suggest to you, Mr. Kanute Harry, that this is a training session. Don't you think it would be prudent for participants to be issued with certificates in this issue? Thank you.
Very good points you have highlighted. But the first point has to do with what I would say, training for your investigators. They can be empowered. It's not difficult to get them trained in that area. So again, I would, since you represent Ghana, right, I would suggest that you should speak to your law enforcement officers and try to see how best you can get them trained in this area. If you need additional information, you can contact me and I will provide, I can put you on to persons who can assist in providing the requisite training. But it's very, based on what you're explaining, is that there are, it would seem to be, well, it's clear that there are many crashes that have occurred that could have been properly investigated had you had this technology and this tool to leverage. So I would advise you to go ahead and get the tool leverage as best as possible, because it helps. It is not the panacea, right? Because even though you have the black box information, there's a lot of work that you have to do. And I would recommend that you try to get those officers who have training in physics, right, to get onto this, because a lot of it has to do with the mechanics, meaning that branch of mathematics that speaks to how bodies move, to get them up to speed. But it's not difficult, and we can speak further on that matter. You can contact me on it, and I'll try to see how best I can help you on that. On the issue of the other matter, I really didn't think about that.
Then you have to think about
Hello,
it.
Mr. Kenute.
Yes. Go ahead.
This is Oworotet from Kenya.
Yes.
I am the founder of Road Safety and Safe Driving Practices.
Congrats.
In Kenya, and trying to reach out to many, because we realize road safety is still an ambiguity to so many people that even the mandated authorities lack the knowledge you have shared here with us, you would find they don't have the ability to respond or to react to certain situations. We find, like in my country, Kenya, the enforcement officers would not even understand a speed limit. All they want to do is to raise their hands, stop you, instead of even trying to elaborate to you or teaching you or guiding you that on such a road, you are approaching a junction. It is a human live active area. You need to be on lower speeds. All they would do is to stop you, tell you that you are overspeeding, and then ask you for bribe. This has costed us a great deal. You find like the information on the vehicle tire. I happen to have learned a lot again today and added on my basket on top of what I already had. You find a dealer selling you the same tire knowing that it is 10 years old. What they try to do is they try to store it not under direct sunlight so that it holds up. But then they are selling you a tire that is already expired. We have a generation who believes they can leave home late, overspeed, drive recklessly to get there on time. How best can you help us? Now, this is for Jamaica. I happen to have hijacked and joined from Kenya. But how best can we help and train our people on things like journey management plan so that they know you can still reach on time, obey all the speed limits that are put in place. You will not have trouble and problem with the mandated authorities. You go back home safe to your loved ones. Thank you so much, Oworotet, Nairobi, Kenya.
Thank you. You have said a lot and very good points. One of the things we have to do, we have to help the personnel involved in road safety, and we have to try our best to empower them, right? And that's what we did in Jamaica. We have been continually doing it in Jamaica right here. And we are willing from Jamaica, we will speak more about issues, but I think one of the critical things we can do is to have more sessions like these and try to open them up. I have noticed that there is an interest in issues, and I'm certain that we here in Jamaica have issues, interest in those issues highlighted by you, and we have concern about them. So we are not much different from you, but we just need to work together to try to see how best we can improve the whole apparatus. Any other question?
Yes,
Does that mean that you can create WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups? That is what I've done. I have about 15 groups that I manage, and it is purely road safety talk.
Right.
But you now see you have a full wealth knowledge on road safety that some of us have not attained that level. Would it be possible that you would start WhatsApp groups or Telegram groups so that we also get this knowledge? And my core point is share it out as much as possible. Thank you.
We have no objection to that. I think I heard Emma.
Yes, hi, Canute.
Yes, go ahead.
One quick question. This probably isn't relevant to your particular presentation, but perhaps we could talk about, I'm very interested in communication and involved in it, in how, as our colleague from Kenya just said, how can we reach out to the younger generation? Because there are all sorts of, and maybe the cultural issues are a little bit similar among young people. They have to go as fast as they can and get there as quick as they can. And then maybe we need to, you know, tailor our messages to reach the younger generation. And another problem I have with the actual vehicle design and so on is, why are so many new cars, new models, why do they have to go so fast? Why do they have such a high speed limit? And also, why are they advertised almost like racing cars? A lot of the car ads that you see encourage this idea of going faster and faster. You know, you have these drivers going down these fast roads and flying around the place. And I think that encourages, especially younger people, to just see how far they can push the car. I hear that's a problem on the North-South Highway, that they just put their foot down and go as fast as they can. Sorry, that's rather a long question,
Right.
but it's sort of I mean, it's not a question really, it's more about the culture and how we can get through to the younger people, you
Yes,
know?
we have to work on that some more. And that's a big challenge globally also. There are persons who are prefacing now that we need to put limiters on motor cars also to control the speed. But that's something we have to do. There was somebody else with a question?
Still here.
Yes.
This is Ryan from UTech.
Yes.
Yes, I formed the club Auto Society, which I invited you sometime earlier on this year.
Right.
Yes, the last question that was asked by Emma Lewis, where she asked, how can we bring this into younger people? It is my dream to have a club like this throughout the entire high school system in Jamaica, because we're all learned by the different movies that we watch, like Fast and Furious, to say, oh, cars are supposed to be driven fast and all sort of stuff. And we don't know a couple of things. So like listening to your presentation regarding even the description and the car tires, it was one of the persons that presented at one of our club meetings that helped me to know so much about car tires, which I didn't know. So if we could develop a plan or a plan I'm looking forward.
We need to get it into the club. So we will. What we'll do, we will work closely with your club, and we can push out information.
A campaign. That's what you need.
A campaign.
Yeah,
Yes, definitely.
maybe that's the word.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. We can discuss that further. Next person.
The campaign.
Yes. The overall issue with getting this information out to the students using that article, because for the most part students love the hands-on stuff.
Yes,
and,
they
yes, so we need to try together, because there are auto mechanic schools, clubs, there are auto mechanic departments in quite a number of the schools, so we could leverage that area. So we'll work with you on that matter.
I myself is a teacher as well, so I can help you to bring it through the high schools as well.
Yes.
And also the Heart Trust training centers, where they also do mechanic training, don't they?
Definitely.
That would be a good place.
Anybody else?
Knut, this is Mike Dresnes.
Welcome, Mike. Happy to hear
great presentation, as always, my hero.
Yeah.
Hey, Knut, quick question. I wonder if you have anybody online who attended this from the insurance industry. It's a piece that I don't understand. If anybody has a financial interest or benefits from a safe road, it's the insurance companies. And why do the insurance companies not, or do they, maybe a better question, do they modify their rates on vehicles imported to a country based on the safety features? Do you get to the point where your insurance is just so expensive if the vehicle doesn't have the safety features that you would just stop buying that car? And adversely, if the vehicle has a lot of safety features, they'd bring that insurance rate down. Is that being used? And if not, why not?
You know, Mike, I can't answer that question.
Okay.
I really don't know. I'm not too certain if anyone from the insurance companies are here online. I'm not sure. But I can't answer that question.
Typically, the insurance companies have the money, and you talk about these campaigns and the programs. I mean, they're going to benefit from you. So if you're in a situation where you need to get the money and the government doesn't have it, you're an NGO, think about going to the insurance companies and asking them, because they don't know. This is not their expertise, but they do have the funds to help make things happen.
Well, what I can say though, we have an insurance association of Jamaica here, and they have been assisting with the motorcycle carnage on the network. But on the matter you highlighted, I'm gonna have to check on that matter.
Okay. And again, yeah, great presentation, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
Yes, please. From me,
Yeah.
I'm Steve Kegoli from Nairobi, Kenya.
Okay.
And this is very, very valuable information that you've given unto us. Just some 2 or 3 questions that I need to bring to ask. One is about the car rims. You talked about the car tires, very valuable information. But I wanted to ask about the car rims. With the information that is there at the door, if the car has to use a rim size number 15 and number 16, if somebody puts a rim which is larger than that, let's say 17 and 18, would this affect the stability of the car?
It would definitely,
Then
because
2,
it will be out
about
of
reused
the
tires.
Repeat the second question.
Now the second question is about something that happens in Kenya. People, when they try to avoid tax, they usually put one tire inside the other one. When this is being transported, can also this reduce the quality of the? Can it reduce the quality of the tire? And if it can, how can you tell when you're going to buy that this tire was stocked inside another one that is slightly damaged? Thank you, and out.
Wow. Those are tough situations you have highlighted. I never knew about that one. But the vehicle manufacturer, you see, would have determined what's supposed to go on the vehicle. And once you start to go against what the vehicle manufacturer put in place, you are affecting the stability of the motor vehicle. And you really and truly don't want to be doing that at all. As it relates to having 2 tires in a tire, the geometrics of that and the mechanics of it is that's not something that we would ever encourage. We would want to have persons stop doing that and procure the proper tire for the motor vehicle. So that's a culture that you're gonna have to work on to get people to get out of that mindset and to really try to promote safe tire safety, because that practice is not a very good practice at all. Any other question? Okay. Any other question? Anybody? Well, if there are no other questions, I would like to thank you.
Just one, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Can we get the presentation that you've just presented, because it was we had some network problems, so that we can at least go over it, since it was very valuable information. And thank you for the good work.
Right. We are going to try to, we're going to make the presentation available. We have for persons who are interested in getting the presentation, could you write down this email address, please? RSU. So RSU stands for Road Safety Unit. So RSU at MTW, M as in ministry, T as in transport, W as in work, .gov, .jm, J for Jamaica, M for Mango, right? So it's RSU at mtw.gov.jm. And if you have issues, you can also go on the Ministry of Transport website, www.mtm.gov.jm. We are going to try to set up something maybe on social media that will allow for easy download. We will be making that broadcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to inform persons how we can get the information download. Any other question? I would like to thank you all for spending the time and listening to what I have to say. And I am seeing persons making comments on Facebook. This would be our weekly event. We will try to ensure that that everyone is further empowered. As everyone knows, we are in different time now. We have to keep ourselves safe in COVID-19 times. And we are at the Road Safety Unit, we are putting out a lot of materials as it relates to what we will be presenting on. Friday again, we will have another set of presentation to deal with other matters, because what we have recognized is that there are just so many information out there that people don't know, and we really want persons to know. And share with your friends and your family. And let us all play our part, whether we are in Africa, Asia, North America, South America, Europe, the Caribbean, or Australia. Let us try to be safe on the road and become road safety ambassadors, because too many family members have been disrupted. And once again, I'd like to say thank you all for listening, and look out again for another presentation from Road Safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. That was really good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.